It's the Jim Fannin Show. We've come to take your mind.
Am I still on? Max Bernier is with me. I've got him for, well, as long as I can keep him. Usually good with his time. We're talking all Canadian federal politics. Buckle up and welcome aboard. Max, you've always been so generous with your time. I appreciate it. I know you're on a tight schedule. Did you take a spring break or something, man? Do I see some color in your face there? Or
Yes, actually, I'm in Florida right now for a couple of days.
Oh, you're in Florida now.
Back,
nice. Okay.
yeah, and I'll be back in Montreal in Canada next week. So we were very lucky, nice weather, and it's always fun to run outside here in Florida because, as you know, I'm a runner and I did run this winter, and it's a little bit different running under the sun, and it's fun. So yes,
awesome.
I'm enjoying my time here.
I just took for granted that you were back. I know you were traveling last week when I hit your guys up, and your guys always been so great with making time for me, and so I just assumed that you were back. So extra special thanks to you for doing this on your vacation. Why Florida? You got some family down there? Or you got property down there? Or what draws you to Florida?
Because I like DeSantis, the governor. No, it was a nice time, and we are at the west coast of Florida, Sanibel Island near Fort Myers. So we decided to go there and for a couple of days. So it's very nice.
Nice. Now you said you're running. I know you train for, what is it, marathons or long distance running, or what is it that you're actually trained for? And what do you compete in exactly?
Yes, I'm training right now for the Montreal Marathon. It's 42K. That will be this September. So I'm in the beginning of my training. My goal is to do that marathon in 3 hours and 35 minutes. So I believe I'll be able to do that. But, every morning, that's what I'm doing, outside running when I'll be back in Montreal. The spring will be there. I hope so. And I'll be able to run outside. And, I like to do that. When I'm traveling across the country, I can run. And that's the only sport that I'm doing right now. So I'm looking forward for that marathon.
Tell me how when your brain hits the wall, I know this isn't very political, but I'm always interested in your mind and how it works. So I'd like you to comment on this. I remember a buddy of mine took me to Algonquin, first time I stepped in a canoe, and I got, I don't know, about 40 paddles across this small little body of water. And I thought, we're going there? How am I going to get there? When your body says, okay, this, we can't do this, shut it down. It takes a special guy to be a long distance runner, because it seems like the battle's got to be with your mind more than your body. I mean, your body's obviously got to be in shape, but how do you handle the mental aspect of it when your legs are saying, no, just quit? Come on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I did run 109 kilometers in 12 hours 10 years ago for a food bank in my former riding in Beauce. You have actually, you're doing everything to be ready physically, but also it is happening. Your mind is telling you, oh, you must stop, and you have to combat these negative thoughts. And that's something that, I've been told before training for that ultra marathon. And the way to do that for me was to try to stay in the present. When I was running, I was looking at, what is in front of me, how many people out there, looking at the houses, so ultra marathon, I had to fight these negative thoughts for maybe about half an hour, and after that, your mind is telling you, okay, the guy won't stop. He will go ahead. He will run, and so now you are able to do the next step. So it's more positive, but you have to pass through that phase, and a lot of people are it's very difficult for them to pass through that phase, but I did, with the help of my coach at that time. But yeah, we call that, hitting the wall when you're running, and it's in your mind. You have to fight that, because usually you're well trained, physically trained to do it. So I did it. So you just have to be persistent.
I don't know what just happened. All my screens just went blank, and we seem like we're still streaming here. So I don't know what happened on the broadcast there, but looks like we're back. I don't know what happened. Thanks for that. Anyways, I was a little distracted. Brother, tell me, where's your head at these days? I mean, you're working while you're away. You're supposed to be on vacation. I know you're drawing a salary probably from the PPC, so that this is effectively your job. You would like to be an elected MP, but where's your head at as far as where the party's at? How hopeful are you? Like, how long do you give this thing before you go, okay, you know what? I tried, I'm done. Yeah, I'll leave it for the new Preston Manning or whoever comes out of the woods next.
No, it's a long-term commitment. Like I said to our people, and I said that publicly in speeches, that, I'm there for the next 10 years, and I believe that we'll be able to have a candidate selected, maybe at the next election that will come in October 2025, because I strongly believe that the coalition, NDP and Liberal coalition, will work until the end. It's supposed to be in October 2025. So we'll have an election there. The People's Party will have a candidate in every riding. And after that, the next election will be in 2029. But our goal is to grow the percentage of the vote. Like, Jim, what we did in 2019, 1.6% of the vote. We almost tripled that to 5%. So next time we can double it. So the more support we'll have, the more influential we will be. And I believe that we will win, but I don't know when. And, it's so important right now to have real discussions with Canadians. And that's what we want to do. And that's what we are doing as a People's Party. So up to now, we are working to find candidates. We are doing actually a call for candidates until April 22nd. And if you're interested, you can go on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, and we have a strong process. I can tell you, Jim, that now we have about 125 candidates selected and approved for the next election. Our goal is to have a full slate, 338 candidates, and we will. So we're doing that also. But also the People's Party will have a conference, a revision conference in early August this summer with our candidates, with our executive of our riding associations. And that would be a training, 3 days, a trainings conference to be sure that our candidates will be ready for the next election. So we have a lot of things to do as a small party. And actually, I must say, that what is happening right now in Canada, if you look at what we said and what I said in the past, and now the future is on our side. I don't know if you saw that today, that Polyev tried to have a confidence vote on the increase of the carbon tax by 23% April 1st. and he is against the increase of the carbon tax. But we must say also that Poilievre is for the carbon tax. It's just not for the increase of 22%. We as a party are against the carbon tax, and we will withdraw from the Paris Accord. We won't do anything to fight the climate, because we believe that there's more important things to do to save the environment. So that being said, that motion didn't pass. And so we won't be in election in Canada tomorrow. But we need to be out there. And that's why we have candidates that are out there and speaking about our ideas, our values, our policies. And step by step, we are growing as a party. We need to be patient, and we need to, being focused. And I spoke with our candidates, and they want us to focus a little bit more on immigration for the next election, because what we said in 2019 against mass immigration, now more and more people understand that is not sustainable. And that would be a big difference between us and all these establishment political parties like the Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, the Green. So that would be an important difference, and an important also campaign for the future of the country.
Brother, on that same tract, how do you balance in running in your riding and then having the profile of a national leader and going all over the country? I mean, we've seen you attempt to be elected in a by-election. That didn't work. You lost by 10,000 votes.
17.
How many?
I had 17. I had 17% of the vote.
Right. Okay. So I think 10,000 votes, I think, is how I remember it. But you're. And I know we're talking about, we'll talk about proportional representation later, but how do you balance paying attention to your own riding and making sure you get elected if there's not an opportunity for you to get elected in a by-election, versus campaigning all over the country to get support for your other candidates?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, as you know, I was full-time campaigning last June in Portage-les-Gardes to be able to be elected. It went well because, I was not known over there. It's in Manitoba, southern Manitoba, and we had a lot of support. We were able to build a team over there. So from that 17%, I will build from that at the next general election. And yes, I will be there. But the challenge that I have, I won't be able to be there full time during that general election, because, as you know, I want to be sure also that our message will be all across the country, and I want to help other candidates also to do well. So, but being there for that by-election, having that support, building from there, I strongly believe that I will be there often, but after 2025. So if I'm not elected in 2025, I'll run in 2029. But for us, it's, if you look at the Green Party of Canada, and that, Jim, it took them more than 15 years to have more than 1% of the vote. We did that in our first election in 1 year. It took them 25 years to elect their first Green MP, Elizabeth May, in 2008. And it won't take 20 years for me to be elected. But because we don't have proportional representation, it's more difficult for a populist party to have candidates elected. And that's why in our platform, we will argue for more proportionality in our electoral system. But what are the chances of that to be implemented? Very low, I must admit, because it's not in the interest of the mainstream political parties like the Liberal and the Conservative. But I strongly believe that we need to fight for that. It will be a better electoral system than the one we have right now.
All right. Well, there goes my next question. I don't know what's going on with my computer, but we're continuing to have major issues here. Sorry about that, Max.
Is it on my side?
No, my computer's really screwing up. I took an update today. I never take updates, and I don't
Recording
know.
in
I don't
progress.
even know if this is going to make any difference, but sorry about that. Let's get this back here. I got a question from my riding today from St. Catharines. There goes my video again. This comes from St. Catharines, and I know you've never shied away from the controversial issues, and not that this is all that controversial, but something I don't know if you've addressed yet. It would be awesome to hear you ask Max about his party's vetting process. How could they possibly have no idea their candidate operated a company with government contracts when it says so on his LinkedIn page? I think that's David Yeo.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, we did a strong process to be sure to have the right candidates, and he didn't tell us. We need to do our due diligence, and my team did it, but that guy didn't tell us what he was doing, and actually was not honest. So what can you do when a person is not honest when you have an interview with that person? Actually, we that's why we change our process right now, and we will have an independent firm that will look at the social media of our potential candidates to be sure to know what they did in the past. But actually, if you did something wrong 10 years ago or 15 years ago on your social media, and now you're a different person, you need to look at it all together. And for us, the most important is that person is real and to fight for our values. And if that person is ready to fight for our values, the values of the People's Parties, the People's Party that are the values of the Western civilization, we will do the strong investigation. But that's the kind of candidates that we want. So that person was not honest with us, and we did our best at that time. And we had a very small team. Now we have more resources to do a more in-depth background check on our candidates.
What have you learned from your previous campaigns that didn't work that you plan on changing as a strategy this time around? Get better results.
But yes, if you go on our website, the People's Party of Candidacy, you're going to see that we have about 20 policies. You can read it, 2 pages on immigration, on climate change, on taxation, on the Constitution. But I strongly believe that we cannot promote all these policies during an electoral campaign. We will need to focus on maybe 4 or 5 policies in our ad, and that would be easier for Canadians to understand. And I can tell you that yes, our platform is our platform. Our platform won't change. At every election is the same platform. But what we're going to do a little bit better at the next one is to focus on 4 or 5 policies. I can tell you it will be immigration. It will be all the woke radical ideology. It may be on climate change. When I'm saying focus, it's a focus, but in our advertising, in our marketing, and but our candidates will have to know our policies, because the good news of the next election is I will be able to participate in the national debates against Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre, and that will help us to give us more visibility. But also it will help our candidates, because as you may know, at the last election, because I was not participating in the national debates, they didn't want me there. That was all, pro-COVID hysteria, and I was for freedom of choice. And they didn't want me there. They created that new rule that the People's Party must have 4% of the vote. We had 5%, so I will be there. But because of that, a lot of our candidates across the country were not able also to debate at their local level in their ridings, because they were saying, oh, your leader is not participating in the national debates, so you as a candidate in that riding, we won't allow you to participate in these debates. So that was a little bit difficult for our candidates. But next time I'll be there, our candidates will be able to debate also. That will give us more visibility, and we will be a little bit more focused on some policies.
Do you have any friends in Parliament anymore? Like, who did you enjoy working with? Who do you still have tons of respect for that might not be in your party that's actually elected?
Nobody. I don't have any friends. I don't have any friends there. No. You know, when I decided to quit the Conservative Party of Canada in 2018, and I said that the Conservative Party of Canada is morally and intellectually corrupt, I was right at that time. And if you can see right now, they don't want to debate the real issues that we have in our country. So that being said, I don't have any friends over there in the Conservative Party or the Liberals or the Bloc Québécois. My friends are Canadians.
How do you affect change from the outside? I always use Mike Schreiner as an example of a green guy that was on the outside that until he got elected managed to partner up with some of his friends inside of cabinet or Queen's Park, or I guess Queen's Park, he was provincial. How do you make an effective change from the outside until you get elected?
Yeah, I like that question because that's what we are doing. We need to change the overturn window. So what I'm telling you is I understand and I know these establishment political parties and politicians, they're doing survey and polling all the time, every week. And and so they will implement a policy when they're going to see that they have maybe 20, 38%, 40% of support. But, if you speak like immigration, when I started to speak about that in 2019, maybe only 15% of the population were saying, okay, we agree with you, we need to end mass immigration. But these other political parties didn't want to touch that because it was not popular. So what we need national debates. And that's happening with immigration right now. I was reading La Presse in Quebec in French, and they were saying actually what I said since the creation of the People's Party, that we must end mass immigration. In the Global Mail, you have more and more journalists that are saying, there's a problem with immigration in our country. So now it's more mainstream. And I believe strongly that it's because of what we did and also the economy and the environment. But that being said, if we are able to have more people that will support an idea and will have a national debate about it, I believe that we can win the argument and impose some changes like Preston Manning did. Yeah, Preston Manning, okay, he was elected, he was the leader of the opposition, but he was not the leader of the opposition. That was at that time Lucien Bouchard. But he was elected and he was speaking about balancing the budget when it was not popular, and it became popular. And after that, Chrétien and Martin decided to balance the budget because they look at the polls and the majority of Canadians were saying, enough is enough with these spending. So we are doing that. And elected or not, we can influence the public opinion and at the same time, the national debate.
Awesome, man. You've been around a long time. I'm sure you've got many significant mentors. Who would you put at the top of your list of guys that you were mentored by politically or ascribed to?
Margaret Thatcher in UK, when she was elected as the leader of the Conservative Party over there, they were in a recession. The UK was a socialist country, and she was speaking for free trade, free markets, free choice. She was a real free market politician, and that was not popular. But she said, we need to speak about it. That's the way we will be sure to have a prosperous country. And she did speak about it. And she had the courage of her conviction when she was elected. She was able to do big reforms, more pro-market, a smaller state, more freedom. So yeah, she and also what I like from her, she did an interview maybe a couple of years after leaving politics. And she said, the journalist asked her a question about, what did the thing that you didn't like in politics? Can you give us an example? And the answer was clear. She said, I didn't like the word consensus, because when you're doing a consensus, you're not fighting for your ideas, and you're giving more and more to the left. So my goal in politics was not to do any consensus, was to speak about conviction and to win the argument. And that's a little bit what we are doing, the People's Party, based on conviction, speaking about what we believe it's right for the country and for Canada. We have a vision for this country, and we need to speak about it, and we're doing that. So I really like Margaret Thatcher. And in Canada, maybe a lot of people won't like it, but Brian Mulroney, we must say that Brian Mulroney actually during the 1988 election, the free trade election, Brian Mulroney said the free trade with the US is very important for the future of this country, for the prosperity of this country. Everybody were against him at that time, every national politicians, the unions and everybody. And he started the campaign not winning. And he said, no, I'm going to do the fight. I will do the fight on the free trade agreement. And he won with the biggest majority in the history of the country. So at that time, during the 1988 election, Brian Mulroney was a leader, not a follower. He was not following the public opinion. He led and he had an ideas for this country, and he fought for it, and he was successful. So when you do that in politics, maybe it will take more times to be successful, but you'll be successful if you always fight for what is the best for the country.
You know, such a deeply unpopular prime minister on his way out, as so many are when they're in there for that long a term. You know, he fought and fathered the GST as well. You know, it's not lost on many that all these wars that I don't like using war analogies in politics, but these battles that he fought for free trade and GST when the Liberals came in, they kept all his policies in place. They didn't scrap them. So, you know, free trade not so easy, but GST for sure.
Yeah, also we must say that he tried to bring back the Quebec in the Constitution, didn't work. Because of him also, he created the Reform Party. So that was a very bad decision when he was not listening to free markets for a big contract for the, I don't know the name of the corporation, but it was supposed to go in Manitoba, and he gave that contract to a Montreal firm. And, you know, that was not the best. That was very expensive, and because of that, the West said, "Mulroney, you're against us," and he helped to create the Reform Party. That was a big mistake. So yeah, he did a lot of mistake, but also what he did for the environment at that time, he was able to sign, you know, an agreement with Reagan concerning the acid rain that we had at that time. But also the bad thing that he did, he started all these climate change hysteria. He was the first Prime Minister of Canada to sign, to go to a conference to fight climate change. You know, I'm against that. So he did a couple of good things, like the one that I said, fighting for the free trade in 1988, but also couple of big mistakes, and that's why he was not able to stay and he has to resign in 1992.
Talk to me a little bit about hope. First of all, for yourself and your own political aspirations, do you see any? And with so many problems today, immigration, housing, drug addiction, I mean, so many, you know, and the biggest one for me is, you know, federal government being elected with 33% of the popular vote and forming a majority government. That doesn't work for me, and that's number one for me. So talk to me. I'd like to leave it on a little bit of a positive note if we can. It's hard to have fun with you, Max. It's always so serious all the time. I try and get personal and stuff, but shit, you'd be a good guy to have a couple beers with, though, for sure. But talk to me about any hope that you see politically for yourself and the times changing, and then with everything we're facing right now, do you see any signs of the tide turning and people coming around to your way of thinking?
Yes, that's why I'm fighting. You know, the best example is the immigration file. I was supposed to be a racist in 2019 when I said no to mass immigration. Now it would be very difficult for anybody to say that to us and me and the People's Party, because we were right. So but actually the impact of mass immigration is there. More people understand that has an impact on housing, on our standard of living, on, the economy is bigger, but the part of the GDP per capita is going down, so we are poor. I said that in 2019. Now that's a reality if you look at the numbers. But that being said, it is encouraging because more people understand now. About half of the population are saying no to mass immigration. So there's a big shift now, and the government will have to do something. Maybe not the Trudeau government, but us will fight for that and we'll push. Like I said, we're going to push the conservative in the right direction because Poilievre is afraid now to speak about against mass immigration. And the solution is not to build more houses because you won't be able to do that in the next couple of years to be able to, for the price of houses to go down. So I'm optimistic because we are building something. And, from scratch, we created a national political party from scratch in 2018. And now we are at 5%, and we are still between 4 and 5% in the polls without having any visibility in the mainstream media. And that will come. And also, I understand that more Canadians are taking their news with you guys, with you, Jim, and the social media. And I look what Robert F. Kennedy is doing in the United States right now. Robert F. Kennedy, like me in Canada, is canceled by the mainstream media over there and is able to grow as an independent in the next election. So I believe he's around 25 or 28%. That's a big score for an independent candidate in the US. And he's able to do that because he's doing a lot of podcasts. I saw Robert F. Kennedy with Joe Rogan. That's okay. But I saw him also with a small guy, I don't know where. He had only 1,000 followers, and he had Robert F. Kennedy with him. So I will do that, and more people are taking their news on social media, and that's the future. So for me, my strategy for the next election, before the next election and during the next election, will be to do more podcasts like the one we are doing, and being more visible and traveling across the country, building the organization. Yeah, we're going to surprise a lot of people at the next election. I can tell you that, Jim.
I'm not sure that Justin Trudeau's not able to cheat and get elected again using all the tricks that they've used in the past that we, quote unquote, didn't know about. But it looks like
the new tricks that they want to use with the NDP is to promote more and more voting, mail ballots. Right. And no, I think it's wrong. And if you want, we must go and do what we did in the past. If you want to vote, you have to come in person. You have to show your face. You have to have an ID with your photo and with your address. But now Trudeau and the NDP are working to change our electoral legislation, electoral law, to allow more, mailing ballots. And I'm against that. That can be a way, because if you remember at the last election, Election Canada said that they didn't count about 200,000 ballots that came after the election. So, if you want to vote, you go and you vote in person. But I don't trust, I don't trust Trudeau and the NDP. They try to change our electoral legislation. So we'll see what will happen. But we must go back of what we did a couple of years ago, only in person.
What are your thoughts on if we're ruled with a conservative government, whether it's stable or not, majority or not, with Pierre Poilievre at the helm? How do you see your role changing or your tactics changing? I mean, the perfect scenario is you get a few PPC members elected, but failing that, how do you see opportunities with conservatives ruling?
Well, we will support Poilievre when he'll be a conservative, and we'll shame him when he won't. So I believe that can be the insurance policy for people to be sure that they will have a conservative government. As you remember, I was part of the Harper government, and we had a majority in 2011, and Harper didn't use the majority because he was looking at the polls and focus group, and he wanted to be elected. So Harper didn't have any legacy. So the People's Party will be there to push Poilievre in the right direction. And that's why it's important. And I believe that it can be a win-win for us and for Canadians, because if Poilievre is elected with a majority, and right now, I believe, I'm looking at the polls like everybody, that he can have a majority. That will be good for us, because we're going to tell Canadians, you have a majority with Poilievre, and I'm pretty sure that Poilievre won't have the courage to do the bold reforms that we need to do in this country, and we will push him and speak about our ideas. So, if Poilievre is having a majority, Jim, the argument about splitting the vote, if a week before the general election, people are saying that Poilievre will win with a huge majority, I will tell them, now there's no split the vote. You can vote in line with your values, you can vote for what you believe, and you'll have a strong voice that will fight for what you believe, and you will get rid of Trudeau. So, the economy is not so great, and it can be more difficult in a couple of months. So for Trudeau, it will be very difficult to win back a minority government. So for us, we have a strong commitment for Canadians. And if Poilievre is winning the next election, I'm going to tell them, now it's your chance to vote in line with your values, because we cannot trust Poilievre.
Awesome, brother. Top 3 issues are what for you? I mean, not politically as far as what you're strategizing on your platform, but, personally for you, what are the things that drive you most crazy about what's going on here, and maybe touch on some of the solutions that you've got at the PPC?
Yeah, the woke agenda, the radical gender ideology. I never thought that, being a politician and saying there's only 2 sexes, that will be a scandal, that will be radical. But we need to go back to our core values and to promote family values. And for me, all that trans ideology, a kid cannot transition. That cannot happen. And a kid is not born in a wrong body. A little boy is a little boy, a little girl. And gender dysphoria exists, but we must help young people who are suffer from gender dysphoria, to help them to accept their body. So that's very important for the society, because that's the woke ideology is there to destroy the core values of our society. They try to divide us, by groups and by oppressor and oppressed, and the woke ideology, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's racism, it's racist. Now they are promoting people not on the merit. They're promoting people because of the color of their face or because of their sexual orientation. If you need to have strong organization, you need to have strong people. We are the only party that is saying no to that ideology. We must not promote diversity. We must promote unity. We must not promote equity. We must promote equality before the law for everybody. Everybody must be equal. And we must not promote inclusion. We must promote meritocracy. If you want to have a job, you must be competent for that job. And we don't care if you're white, black, or trans or not. It's the Western civilization values. And that ideology is destroying our society. And that's why we are doing that fight to keep our country.
Yeah, it's a strange day when you ask a politician what his top 3 things are, and you go straight to gender ideology. And I don't think you're obsessed with it, but it directly affects our kids. And and just to get away from your other 2 points, I'd like you to hit those too. Do you see similarities in the fall of civilizations that were around for a long time? Like it mirrors what we're going through right now. It seems like first you attack the family, then you attack the gender. And Rome didn't fall in a day, but we've seen many civilizations go away. They all seem to have the same tact and the same Achilles heel.
You're absolutely right, Jim, about that. DEI philosophy or ideology is Marxism. Marx wanted to divide people by, the rich and the poor, the workers and the owners. So now we want to divide people by race, by gender, by by, they try to divide us by anything that they can. So yes, it's important. And I believe that we are there. Look at what is happening right now. We had a debate. I believe it was a couple of days ago in Ottawa, a day debates about, the war in Gaza. So what must be the position of our country? Nobody care about that. Canada is a small country. You need to focus on the priorities for Canadians. So that won't change anything. When you have our standard of living that is going down, immigration that is at the roof, housing and it's not affordable, and you have all your 338 MPs in Ottawa that are having a day debate about what would be the position in Gaza. They're doing that because they're pandering to different, electoral groups. We won't do that, and I believe we don't have to do that. To speak about that, it's not our war. Like the same thing in Ukraine. We are sending money in Ukraine, and Polyev and Trudeau are saying, oh, we must send more money. No, it's not our war. We need to bring back that money to Canada to help Canadians. So we need to have these debates. And now our politicians are disconnected from Canadians and having these debates about things that are not important for Canadians. It's a very difficult time these days. And I think that, it's not the end. It may be only the beginning. It can be worse, but it will be better if you are fighting for what you believe. I'm telling my people, and when I'm delivering speeches, if you believe in something, speak about it. Don't be silent. Don't censor yourself.
No.
You need to be out there. You have the right arguments. And the more people will have the courage to speak, the more successful we'll be.
And your other top two issues, other than the indoctrination of our children, and I don't get. Yeah, I mean, you talk sexy to a kid, you got really messed up, or you went to jail. Now, they're in my hometown. I see and their names, Stephanie, and all these it's just so obvious. And I hate to beat it to death, but I mean, we don't care what you do until it involves children, and then we're all over you. So anyways, leaving that alone a little bit, I know immigration's at the top of your list too. I know that, it affects the economy and housing and social programs and so many things. And yeah, in 2018, 2019, they were calling you a racist bigot because you want a moratorium. Can we just close the border for a year and kind of get our shit together until we kind of level out here? Oh no, too radical. So I know that's got to be your top three for sure.
Yeah, immigration is there also. But climate change, like I just said, they're imposing taxes on us, more regulation, less freedom. And now they try to scare Canadians about the weather. Oh, it will be the end of the world if we're... No, for us, climate change is not an issue. We must not speak about that. We must not tax Canadians for that. We must withdraw from the Paris Accord. The climate will always change. We cannot control the climate. And so that's another important issue because we are taxing Canadians for that.
And we should stop scaring the hell out of our children by telling them the polar caps are melting and everyone's going to drown because of CO. We are terrifying our children. The ones that there's lots of them that are being indoctrinated into this stuff too. And it's child abuse to scare children like this. We've always had something. It was the ozone. It was acid rain. It was blah, 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 blah. Nothing ever seems to come to pass. And hey, I fell for it for a while there too. And I'm still a guy that says tax pollution. It kind of levels the playing field for the cleaner fuels. But this idea that we're going to stop drilling and find renewables overnight and just go to the electric cars is a fantasy.
It is. And actually they're using fear, on climate change to convince people that there's urgency because of the climate. There's no emergency, there's no urgency, and the climate is there, and it's not everything that is happening right now, it's because of climate change, and it's not true. So they're using fear like they did during COVID-19. They use fear to try to change the behavior of Canadians, and we are not. We are appealing to the intelligence of Canadians, and we are telling them the truth based on facts.
All right, brother, I want to say thank you to Martin and Ryan back at HO. Those guys have always had really clear communication with me in regards to getting you on. You've always been so generous with your time. So I don't know if you can do this, Max, but I'll give you the floor as long as you want. Can you leave us with a little message of hope, rub our ears a little bit, make us feel like we're not up against the big machine, and that tomorrow when we wake up, there's some hope that we can actually make some change?
Yes, we are not alone. We are not alone as Canadians and humans. And I believe in people. I believe that, you have the right to do what you want in life. And when tough times are there, you don't need a majority to change the issue or to change the trajectory of our society. Look what happened in the US with their revolution. They were not a majority that wanted to be independent. We just need a strong minority that is out there to fight. And it happened during COVID-19. It took us 2 years to win that debate. But I strongly believe that more people who will be informed and fighting for their ideas, we will be able to convince more people on our side. So that's why I'm in politics, because I'm optimistic that we'll have a bright future. The question is if it will happen tomorrow or in a couple of months. I don't know, but it will happen. We need everybody out there. And if they want to know more about the People's Party, they can go on our website. They can read our platform, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. All our ideas are there. It's based on 4 principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. So I believe in you, Canadians. And if you believe in yourself, together we'll be able to impose our changes that we want for our country.
Max, I appreciate your time. Just on the way out, what's the next? I know the media doesn't give you much attention, and I'm surprised that you're taking for granted that you're going to be in the leaders debate. Don't you think these guys will figure out a way to weasel out of it?
Maybe they can change the rule, but they will have a big backlash. I can tell you that.
What's the next national headline with your name in it?
Oh my God. That can be on immigration. When the mainstream media will see that we need to end mass immigration, and I'm still speaking about that. I believe that now they will have the courage to interview me, and that would be something about mass immigration, because the impact is so huge on our society right now that they cannot ignore us, because we have the solution. So, and when they would be ready for that, I'll be there. And I believe that it may be, a big splash in the national media, but I don't count on that. That's why I'm doing podcasts. That's why I'm with you. We'll see what will happen.
You need a media genius back there. Well, as long as it's not Max Bernier jailed trying to re-enter Canada on the way home from spring break, we're good. Right,
yeah, maybe I'll be the first one to go to jail with that bill C-63, the bill that is regulating hate speech. Yeah. And, it's against freedom of speech. And if that bill passed, I will be the first one in jail. Maybe that will be the news.
Okay. All right, Max, I appreciate your time. Thanks for doing it, especially on vacation. I didn't know you were down there, but I really appreciate your time, as you know. And
thank you, Jim. That was always fun, and let's be together another time. And I appreciate what you're doing.
All right, brother. Enjoy your time
Bye-bye.
in FLA. Come to Dominican next time. We'll show you around. Get off
yes.
Okay, that's how you do that. Max Bernier was my guest and so generous with his time. Appreciate it. I'll go through a little. I don't have. Well, here's the websites right here. I had a bunch of stuff pulled up for you. And I don't know. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Oh, no, my browser crashed as well. The links are in the show description. Touch them up. All right. Yeah. Max, you're still here? Right. Okay. See you later. Now I'm getting rid of Max. Okay. You say goodbye. No, you. You say goodbye. No, you. No. Oh, he's gone? Oh, it's too late to say that? Anyway, sorry about the technical difficulties. I think I have an HDMI wire that's funky, and I moved my laptop up, and you don't care. But we had some significant issues. So thank you for staying on board. The Dominican channels are getting no broadcast tonight because it's not Dominican real estate, so you're not getting the political discussions with Max Bernier. Sorry about that. Peace, love, hug your neighbor, and I am out.